Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So I got a request to create a tutorial showing how to create a turban. So that's what we're going to be making in today's video. Things you will need include some yarn, some medium 4 yarn. If you want your turban to be multiple colors, then just get how many ever colors you want, but you only need one skein and you will not use all of that one skein. You'll need a pair of scissors, you'll need a couple of stitch markers, you need a darning, weaving, tapestry needle, you'll need a crochet hook. I'm using a size J 6mm US crochet hook because of my tension, and you will need a tape measure. So we're going to start out by making a slip knot. Wrap it around your finger, twist exchange, wrap it around your finger the other way, pull that loop over that one off your finger while lifting up on the one on your finger. Then we'll insert our crochet hook into the loop and pull to tighten. So now it's time to make your chains. I chained 120. That was the magic number to get to a length of 35.5 inches or 90 centimeters. It could be different for you, so just make sure you measure it out, okay? Alright, so I have my chains. Obviously, I'm not going to chain the entire 120, but I just wanted to create a little swatch. So we're going to crochet into the second chain from the hook. We're going to put a single crochet in there. Just enter, yarn over, pull through to the front. That'll leave you with 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. You're going to notice that a few times I kept forgetting to put my stitch marker on that first loop, but I'll go back and do it. Anyway, just continue putting 1 single crochet in every chain across, okay? How many ever single crochets you have in this first row, you should have that same number of single crochets in every row thereafter, okay? So make sure you don't skip any stitches. Alright, so I've completed my row of single crochet, and now I'm going to chain 1. And I just want to take a moment to show you that for all the other rows, we're going to be crocheting in that back loop. So when we turn our work around, that's going to be the back loop, and that's where we're going to put a single crochet, including in that very first stitch of row 2 or the very last stitch of row 1, however you want to look at it, okay? So just continue putting 1 single crochet in the back loop of every stitch. And don't worry, I'm going to go back and put that stitch marker on that first stitch. It's the purpose of having stitch markers, Atreyu, if you're not going to use them. So here I'm counting my stitches, and I just want to show you that I have the same number of stitches in row 2 as I have in row 1. For me, that number is 9 with this little swatch. So I'm finally now remembering to put that stitch marker in that first stitch. You should do this as soon as you create it. So as soon as you make that single crochet, stop and place your stitch marker, but I was obviously focused on other things. Now that I have my stitch marker placed, I'm going to chain 1 and create another row, working in only the back loops just like the previous row. So I will turn my work and I'll put a single crochet in the back loop of that first stitch, and then I'm going to stop and remember to place my stitch marker like a good crocheter. And then after I secure it, I am going to continue putting 1 single crochet in the back loop of every single crochet across. Here I just want to re-emphasize that that stitch marker is reminding me to crochet into the back loop of that stitch. Sometimes when you're working without stitch markers on the end, it can look like the second to last stitch, the penultimate stitch is the final stitch, but the stitch marker is there, so I know I need to crochet a single crochet there. Alright, so I just want to show you how to change colors just in case you plan on making your turban multiple colors. So I'll just bring in the new color, that beautiful baby blue, okay? Hook it on, and then I am going to turn it over and tie a couple of knots between the tail of the blue and the former working tail, or former working yarn, the yellow, okay? Tie a couple of knots, and then once it is secure, I'm going to line up the tails and cut them down, and then I will show you how to crochet over them. By the way, you can remove that stitch marker now because it is no longer needed there. Don't worry, we will use it. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then continue working in the back loop of that very first stitch where that chain 1 is coming out of. First, I'm going to show you how to do this without crocheting over the tails, and then I'll show you how to do it by crocheting over the tails. So stay tuned. To not crochet over the tails, it's very easy. Just push them off to the side and make your single crochets in the back loops of every stitch like normal, and then dread having to weave in those tails later. The second way, of course, is to, starting back at the chain 1, turn your work, and then we want to push those tails up on top, okay? And when we crochet in the back loop, we're going to be crocheting over those tails. It can be a little confusing for beginners, but go through the back loop and then make sure those tails are on top so that you're actually crocheting over them, making sure they're tucked in between those single crochets that you're making as you crochet in the back loop. With practice, you will get the hang of this, so don't be discouraged if it seems a little chaotic initially. It's all part of the learning process, okay? So just continue making sure you're crocheting over those tails as you crochet across this row. Alright, so I'm almost done. I have one more single crochet to make, crocheting still over those tails. They didn't have to be that long. I could have cut them down shorter, but I just want to make a point. Okay, so I've completed the row. I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and do you see the excess there? Oh yeah, I forgot to put that stitch marker at the beginning. I've been so naughty in this video. My apologies. Please do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, I'll chain 1, turn my work, and then create that first single crochet. You see the excess there? I'm going to cut that off now. And then I'm also going to remember to add my stitch marker to that first single crochet this time. Okay? I'm going to be a very good crocheter. Alright, once that is secure, I'm just going to continue putting single crochets across in the back loops in that new color. And that is how you change colors, you guys. So you're going to do this until it is about 5.5 inches tall or 14 centimeters, okay? 35.5 inches wide, 5.5 inches tall. Alright, so you can see I changed colors, and usually it was about after every 6 or so rows, and I tried to change the color on the same side, on the side with the tail, but it doesn't matter. You're weaving in the tails or crocheting over them anyway, okay? So I got the white, I got the pink, I got the peony, I got the red. And here is where I end it. By the way, I just want to show you that I crocheted until I got to about 5.5 inches, and once again that's a little bit less than 14 centimeters, okay? So that's how tall you should make it. Alright, so to just finish this off, I'm gonna close that loop. I don't need the stitch marker on this piece, but I'm going to use it again, so keep it nearby. I will chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn and fasten off, okay, like that. And then you'll just weave in this tail. I'll show you one example just in case you've never seen it. Maybe you're a beginner, you've never seen anyone weaving tails. So you just take your yarn and go through some stitches, okay, of the same color in one direction. That. Don't pull too tight, you don't want to distort your work, and then go back taking a slightly different path in the opposite direction. Basically you're just knotting your yarn through these stitches, okay? Make sure you have the right shape, and then you'll cut the excess. Okay, so you'll weave in this tail as well. Now it's time to find the midway point of this bad boy. So you're going to fold this in half, and let me zoom out. So just fold it in half, like so. Then you'll take that stitch marker that I told you to keep nearby, and you're going to insert it in the middle point. So in the stitch that's at the middle point. So let's say it's that one for us. Okay, so it's the midpoint. Now we're going to take it, this is the middle point, and we're going to crisscross. So just kind of fold half up like that and half up like that, and try to keep it nice and symmetrical. Okay, it doesn't matter if you go that way and that way, whatever your preference is, just try to crisscross it about this midway point. Okay, so this point should be lined up with that point. Alright, so now we're going to flip this over. So just kind of grab it and flip like this. And this is what we see on this side. Okay, we're going to fold these 2 points toward this middle point there. So like that and like that. And then we're going to grab a couple more stitch markers and we're going to attach those points to the same point where that first stitch marker is placed. So just stick it in a corner stitch like that. And then go into the very same stitch that the stitch marker has and add a stitch marker. And then we're going to do it one more time with another stitch marker for this point. Then this point, we'll just put the stitch marker in that final stitch there, like that, and attach it to that same point where the other 2 stitch markers are. Okay, and this is just going to ensure that this is lined up in the center. And now we're going to connect this part to this edge all the way to the center. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm saying clearly. Okay, so we're going to attach this corner to that corner there, and then we're going to attach this side to that side there, and then we're going to connect this as well. So because I used 4 colors, it doesn't matter which color you use. You can choose any of the 4. I think I'm going to go with maybe this light pink. I think that'll disguise it well. Okay, so we got to stitch up this, we got to stitch up this, we got to stitch up this, and then we're going to come back and stitch up this part over here that will be remaining on both sides. Okay, all right, get your darning weaving tapestry needle, put your yarn through it, and let's get to stitching. All right, so we have our yarn, we have our darning weaving tapestry needle. We will fit it through, pull a little bit, leave a little bit of excess so we don't lose our yarn as we're working through these stitches. And then at that point, we're going to pull the yarn through one of the stitches closest to the point, and we're going to pull it in such a way that the yarn almost goes all the way through. So you'll see a little bitty tail once I'm done pulling, and then we're going to go through that stitch one more time. However, this time as we're pulling the loop to a close, we're going to bring the darning weaving tapestry needle through the loop. The reason we do this is so that as we continue to close the hole, a knot is created. All right, like so. And you can just pull, and I'm just showing that it's secure. So now you can start on either side, but we're going to go through. Basically, we're going in between the single crochet stitches on one side, and then we'll pull, and then we'll go through in between the single crochet stitches on the other side. Okay, and as we pull, you're going to see that that yarn basically almost disappears. It becomes very hard to see. Okay, so go in between the single crochet on one side, pull, and then go to the other side and go between the next set of single crochets like that. Okay, and just pull, and you want to pull occasionally, periodically, just to make sure it's stitching up well, just to make sure that that yarn is barely visible. But all in all, it's a very simple process. Okay, just remember to go in between the single crochets, the next set on one side, and then match it on the other side. All right, so I'm going to meet you as I get closer to the stitch markers, those 3 stitch markers at that center medium point. See you there. All right, I am getting closer, still using the same technique, working in between single crochets on either side, getting closer and closer to that center point. Okay, once I get to the center point, I'm going to start stitching up the side. Okay, so just continue watching this. Notice how that light pink is barely visible through the red. Okay, that's what you want. So you want to periodically pull just to make sure the 2 sides are coming together the way that you want them to. Alright, so I take a look, it looks good. And now, I'm like, I can go either way, but I think I'm going to choose to go left. Okay, so I'll take out one of those stitch markers that was in the way, and then I will start the same process with that side, but this time working through the single crochet stitches on that other panel, going back and forth, back and forth, from one side to the other side. So you want to continue doing this until you get to that center corner, okay? And you might have noticed that the stitches are angled in a different direction, okay, right? Because they're basically perpendicular to the other set. So just kind of approximate where you should enter the stitches. I kind of tried to make sure I was going in between every row, since it's not necessarily every single crochet. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Alright, so I'll check back in a little bit later. Okay, so we're almost at the edge here. So what you want to do is put that, see how this folds to the corner? You want to make sure that edge is lined up to the corner. And then we'll just kind of finagle it and work through the stitches accordingly so that it works. So that everything ends at the same point, okay? So just continue doing what you've been doing, going through the stitches. You may need to skip one stitch or go through, you know, one stitch on one side twice just to kind of make sure everything lines up. But it's not a big deal, and you can't really see the yarn anyway, even though, you know, we're clearly using different colors. So just continue working it as you have been this whole time as you've made your way across. Okay, and we're almost there to the end on that side. I think I got one more over here. Let's go through there. Alright, and then I'm going to go through just the corner, and I'm going to go through the loop so that as I pull, a knot is created, like that. Okay? Alright, so then there's this little part left here. Okay? And I guess since we're over here, we might as well do it. So just continue on. You didn't have to tie that knot if you didn't want to, but it doesn't hurt anything. So see, I just have this little part left. So just continue on working through the stitches as you have been. And it doesn't have to be super exact. Just make sure you're lining things up as you need them to be. So just continue. We're almost done with this side. And as you pull, you see that yarn is decently hidden. Okay. One more over here, I think. And then one more over there, going to that corner. And then, since this is the last one, take it through. Whenever you want to create a knot, take it through the loop before you completely close it to create the knot. Okay? So now you see this is connected, and even that side is not connected. So now all we need to do is start here and go this way, lining that up with that corner, and then that little bit that may be left there, and then we'll be done, you guys. In fact, with this tail, why don't we just send it through now, since we already have it attached to our darning weaving tapestry needle. Just go in there and then pull it in to the inside like that. So now if it's on the inside, you don't see it. So now, since I want to go this way to this corner from that center point, I'm going to rotate it like this, and I can take these stitch markers out now because I've already established the midpoint. Okay. And I'm going to stick my yarn right there where the stitch marker was, because that is once again the midpoint. And I'm going to pull it through just like I did before, almost to where the tail is done. Actually, why don't I do it this way? I'm going to come in this way so that my tail will be on the inside. You guys will see what I mean. See how it's on the inside now? And then I don't have to push it in later. And then I'm going to go through one more time through that same stitch. But when I come through this time, I'm going to go through the loop like that to create a knot. And just hold it there, and as you pull, a knot is created. Alright, now we can start working as normal. So go from one stitch, go around the stitch on one side, and then we'll find the corresponding stitch on the other side once again. So here, let's kind of go through like that. Okay, and then we'll just continue doing that. It's the same thing we did on the other side. Just pull it together tight, not so that it's buckling, but just so that it's closed and you can barely see the yarn in there. So we'll do this, and once again you want this corner to line up to that corner. Okay, so stretch them out, or sew it as you need to make sure that this corner lines up in that corner there. Okay, and then we will connect the excess, whatever little excess is left. Just thought about one little trick that you can use to make sure that you're sewing these the way you should. You can grab a stitch marker and then put it on this corner of that panel, and then connect it to the corner, whatever stitch you're going to designate as your corner there, so that as you're connecting these, you'll see how you need to maybe compress them, just to make sure that they fit, because the last thing you want to do is end up where you've connected like that and you have this much excess, right? So you might need to skip over a couple of stitches here, or go through a couple of these twice to catch those. As I said, you don't have to be precise, just make sure that everything lines up. So if I were to stretch this out, if the stitch marker were not there, you would see that this kind of hangs over a little bit farther than that. So as I'm getting closer to the edge, I'm going to just kind of make sure that everything lines up as I want it to. So watch what I'm doing. Like that. And then instead of going there, maybe I'll go there, just to kind of skip a little bit of space so it bunches up and catches that. And then now you see it's more lined up. Okay? So you have options. Just make sure you check it every so often. I know you have the stitch marker there if you did what I suggested, but just check it every so often just to make sure it's lining up. Okay? And I know some people hate that I say okay a lot, so I've tried to reduce it, but I really do want to make sure that you understood me. Okay? No, but seriously, I feel like saying okay also helps you feel like I'm there with you. Obviously, I can't hear your response, but I'm assuming that you're saying yes. You do understand. Okay? Alright, and then this last one, I'm just going to go, since I'm in that stitch, I'm just going to go back through there, through that stitch there. And then since this is where I want to tie a knot, and remember, like on the other side, you don't have to tie a knot, but I feel like the more secure, the better. So, I'm going to go through the loop as I pull, just to tie a knot. And now it's time to go this way, and I just have that little bit there. So I can take out this stitch marker now. It's served its purpose. And then I'm just going to connect a little bit here. So on this side, this edge. So there. Go in there. By the way, you could, on this side, measure how much you had to connect. For instance, let's look. I see there, I went to there to there, I would say. So that's roughly, just grab your tape measure from there to there. It's about 2.5 inches, which is about almost 6.5 centimeters. So you could do the same thing on this side if you're worried about it being symmetrical. You could measure out the 2.5 inches on this side. So we started there, and then say, okay, you want to connect to, you want to keep connecting these until you get to there. And then you grab a stitch marker and just put it there, and then you know where to stop. The importance of doing that is so that it's symmetrical. You maintain the symmetry. You guys know I'm a symmetry freak. Okay, this is already looking beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to just continue going from one side to the other. This is the last part that we're doing, and then this will be a wrap, you guys. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. the person who requested this video requested it a long time ago. They may not even see this video. They may not even be subscribed or still watch my videos. Sorry it took so long, but you guys have no idea how long my crochet tutorial list is. And I also have to think about, you know, the most popular and highly requested videos when I decide upon tutorials to make, because if I don't, then yeah, that one person may have wanted to see the tutorial, but not many other people. Alright, so I'm gonna go, let's go there, and then I'm gonna, this is the last one, so I'm gonna go through the loop like that. Just make sure it's tight, create a knot. Okay, and then I'm gonna send this in. Since it's already attached to my darning weaving tapestry needle, I'm just gonna pull it through to the inside, and then on this side you see it's there, and then I can cut my yarn down. And it's already knotted, so you can cut it all the way down. You can leave a little tail and weave it in somewhere if you're worried. And then you can take out all these stitch markers as you're done. You are done. Okay. Look at this beautiful, beautiful turban. Wow, I really love the colors that I chose. It just kind of came to me. I'm like, I want to create something with this multi-color effect. Okay, and yeah, this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you sew these together and you notice that there's a part that is not connected where it should be, you could always go back and reinforce. Okay, I like this method of stitching because you can barely see the yarn, you know, where you connect it. If you peek in there, you can see, but it's cool. And where you can see it, it just kind of adds to the whole color scheme, because I used one of the colors that I use for the main turban, right? But yeah, that gradual, you know, getting darker from white, and I wasn't sure if this red would go with those, but I'm like, I'm gonna try it, and yeah, it really does go. It really does work. Alright guys, well that is going to be it for this video, but you know I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting.